maritime law, media law. Currently, she is working as a senior lecturer and IQAC coordinator at Navrachna University, Bailey, Vadodara. She has published so many research papers in national and international journals and awarded as a best presenter also in one of the research paper. And in one of the research paper, she has got the best paper presentation in Sardar Patel University, Gujarat. Ma'am has attended so many various FDPs, faculty development programs on various topics. She has also received the Best Faculty Award in the year 2017-18, as well as in the academic year 18-19 in the university. Ma'am is a member of United National Environmental Law Teacher. She is also a member of she is a part of legal panelist and from an academic side at the State Legal Services Authority, Vadodara District, and a pro bono faculty convener at Legal Aid Committee. Also, ma'am is a part of Navrachna Center for Environmental Research and Innovation. Ma'am has won so many awards, as I already said, in the Best Paper Award, as well as she is a national level rifle shooter, NCC Girls, Gujarat. She is invited as a judge at Paro University for Moot Court, as well as for the Wildlife Extempore competition at Navrachna University. So we welcome you, ma'am, in this webinar that is E-Waste Judicial Activism in National and International Perspectives. So I hand over to ma'am to start the session.
Thank you, ma'am. Am I audible?
Yes,
ma'am. It was a very, very vast introduction, ma'am. We've already lost so much of time, and thank you. So not wasting much of the time. I'll just start with my session. So hope so it's visible.
Yes.
Yes. So the topic for the day is E-Waste Judicial Activism in National and International Perspective. So myself, Stella Joice, as introduced, Madam has already introduced a lot, so not speaking much. So I just further down with my topic. So as just want to introduce the concept of E-Waste. Now, what is E-Waste? That I'll let you know in the later slide. But the thing is, like E-Waste jo aajkal hum sunte hain, that is a sort of a waste which is artificially, I think so, made by us, and it is going to create a very big issue in the days to come and in the future generations. Now, as we know, e-waste, as we are in and around with technology all over 24/7, we have so much of technology around it. But what if that same technology is not of a of a smart use or of a recent use? We dump it. So after dumping, where it goes? So that is a question which has to be arisen in everyone's mind. So lakhs and lakhs, that is millions of tons of e-waste is generated every year globally. In India itself, you will be stunned to know that every day we produce at least 1 ton of e-waste every day. I'm just quoting you a very small part. So many of the industrialized countries, which we term as the most developed countries, they send out their e-waste. In fact, they dump their e-waste because they want to take the waste which is in the nation to, to relieve it from their own countries. So where is this going? So who utilizes them? Obviously, the developing nations and the underdeveloped. So herein we can see wherein we have India, a place in Salimpur, which is very much known for as a dumping, that the e-waste dumping yard of India, wherein tons and tons of trucks are unloaded with the e-waste every day. And because of this, there are health hazards, which is commonly seen in all the provinces of China and Ghana. So when we are speaking about India, it is not only confined to India, but it is there another Asian nation, China, a place known as Gyu in the Gunung province. And Africa, again in the place known as Obalokshi in Ghana, which are considered as to be the most worst dumping zones of the world. And the most vulnerable part of the dumping yard is, or the dumping zone is, that it is almost a very unformalized sector. So whatever waste comes, only 5% of the waste is recycled informal waste. Otherwise, it is led unapproached. So, as I told you, the dumping yards or the dumping waste causes grave diseases and much of the death due to chemical emissions, whether by water, by air, and by other means. Now, as I told you, coming to the definition of e-waste. Now, if I say the definition of e-waste, it is according to the e-waste management rules 2016. It says that e-waste as any electrical and electronic equipment, whole or part, discarded as waste by the consumer or bulk consumer, as well as rejects from manufacturing, refurbishment, and repair processes. See, it is according to the European Union directives. It says it's an electrical or electronic equipment, which is a waste including all components, sub-assemblies, and consumables, which are part of the product while discarding. Now, for your good understanding, I have given you two categories. One is the communication and information technology, which is very much close to our hearts and our lives every day, which includes our desktops, which includes our mobile phones, which are always with us, whether it's a professional life or a study life. Now, if I purchase a mobile phone today, and after 2-3 years, I find out to be not upgraded, what do I do with it? I dispose it off. So where does this disposal of the mobile goes? Where are the parts utilized? So that is one question in front of us. Are we not dumping the earth, the natural resource, with the various artificial resources, which are totally unbiodegradable? And the other part is the electronics and the consumer products. The fridge, the microwaves, the ovens, which we use every day in every spot of life. After a few while, when a new design comes and it's there in the market, we are always rushing around it. Whatever offers we get on the electronics and consumer products, we are always wanting to avail it more and more in a very new form, so that we get the benefit, we get the smart things with us. So again, dumping of the refrigerator, the TV, the speaker phones and all. So where does it go? So again, this is a category of e-waste, right? So hope so you understood. Now, very important concern by the UN General Assembly. In the year 2015, there was a Sustainable Development Convention by the UN General Assembly, which laid down our sustainable development goals. And in that, it was like 17 goals which were set up concerning the various concerns of the society, and which targeted around 169 targets. It was with the main purpose that along with the humanitarian society, we have to improve our environment, which forms a very integral part of the society to sustain. So, drawing the concern towards everyone, global at large, it was not a direct issue which was concerning, but it was an issue. The concern of e-waste was an issue which was indirectly imbibed in most of all the goals. So you have, as I have stated here, some of the SDGs. So 3.9 SDG speaks about reducing illness and deaths by 2030 due to hazardous waste. So why this hazardous waste? Hazardous waste, as I told you already, the various e-waste which is dumped, and afterwards the unapproached e-waste is collected and it is either burnt or it is thrown or dumped in the various river waters and the sea waters, or either it's mixed with some chemical and the fumes of the chemical are coming out with a different combination of poisonous gases. What is all this? It is an indirect approach to the e-waste. So the very first approach, the very first SDG is to reduce illness and deaths due to hazardous waste. The next one is to promote developmental based policy like job creation, entrepreneurship activity. Now, again, why is this connected to e-waste? Because nowadays the e-waste concern is so much that the world at large seeks for a creation which is job related. I can give you a very nice example related to one of the entrepreneurship or entrepreneurial approach, which is taken by one of the entrepreneur in New Delhi. He has started with a e-waste accumulation, which is known as the Eco Smart. Right, he has taken up this responsibility of collecting all the e-waste, and what he is doing, he is taking all the waste, and then all the spare parts are taken out, and whatever is useful, they are taken it back, and if they find it fit, they produce a new product and either sell it, and the things which are left out, which are unapproached, which are unentertained, they are taken and they are kept there. Talking about him, many people call him Kabadi, but he doesn't care for it. Why? Because he says that I'm doing something for the society at large. I'm going to protect the environment. So this is one of the grave examples amongst us. A person who turned an entrepreneur, who created something and innovated himself and his, the so-called the dumping yard into entrepreneurial approach. Then the next one is the protecting of the laborers and the women migrants. So providing them employment. As I told you about this entrepreneur, he provides employment to number of women employees and women laborers. So these women, they are working there. They are working formally. They are given the various wages and the payments accordingly. The next part is reducing the adverse per capita environmental impact on cities. So if we have to, reduce the air, the various adverse effects, we have to pay special attention to the air quality and the various waste management, which it is our primus duty nowadays. So as a result, as I told you, it is not directly concerned, but it is somewhere indirectly concerning the e-waste at large. The next SDG is achieving the environmentally sound management of chemicals and all waste through their life cycles. So with the international framework and with the view to release the reduced air to air, water, and soil, so that the human health and the environmental health is also, is maintained, we have to achieve the goal properly. So managing of the chemicals and all the waste through their life cycles. So e-waste, again, which is discussed here. Reducing the waste generation through methods of prevention, reduction, repair, recycling, and reuse. So the SDG 12.5 finally speaks of reducing the waste generation. If I cannot prevent, if I cannot reduce, if I cannot recycle, then I'm not a person who is looking towards the environment to which I can approach. So for doing this, at least I can reuse it. I can at least repair it and reduce it. So that one of the basic responsibility to the humanity at large. This slide speaks about the international responses. The international responses, the Basel Convention, which is one of the most important conventions of the e-waste. Now, this Basel Convention drew its attention to the transboundary movements of the hazardous waste and the disposal. So herein we can see how the responsibility was given to the world at large, and there the concept of the producer who can take, or the responsibility which is given to the producer, wherein he or she can take the responsibility of the easy disposal of the same as well. Not only ending with that, we have the various other conventions, the Montreal Protocol Conventions, United Nations Framework on Convention on Climate Change, Rotterdam Convention, Nairobi Convention. And in the Nairobi Convention, as I told you, it is a very important one of the conventions because it is a conference of the parties. Parties of whom? Now, this conference of parties by the Nairobi Convention, it was discussed upon that there will be the mobile phone mobility partners, wherein they will be entering into timely meetings and they will be having a conference of partners. And it started from the year 2006, followed by 13, 15, and so on. So this is how in the year 2022, the COP15 was discussed, and again, many different views were laid down. And next, lastly, we have the Durban Convention. Now, India is not an exception to any of this, as I told you in the very first or second slide. We have Delhi as one of the concerns, which is again drawing our attention that we should maintain the environment sustainability, and we should maintain our environment. So drawing our concerns way back in the 1986, the Environmental Protection Act, which tells us that we have to be a very responsible citizen on the earth. Now, Environmental Protection Act is such an act which is very much comprehensive in its own nature. It is one of the longest legislations in the whole of the environmental laws. So again, with the concerns of the e-waste, the central government, under the Environment Protection Act, laid down various provisions so as to reduce, so as to maintain, so as to prevent the e-waste. And as a result, so that we can directly or indirectly, we can approach the issue of e-waste. Then we have in the year 2016, before that 2011, a rule was laid down based on e-waste. The e-waste management and handling rules 2011, which was again replaced by the Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change, which notified that e-waste management rules 2016 should be replaced by the e-waste management and handling rules 2011. The basic reason by, as I told you in the former one of the conventions, the producer's responsibility is levied upon. Why the producer's responsibility? If the responsibility is levied upon the producer, then it will be finally the consumer who will be in charge of that. And lastly, we have the new rules which will be implemented from 1st April 2023. It is one of the new e-management rules, that is the e-waste management rules 2022, which again lays down various different rules and the various different norms on which the recent approaches have been conducted. Any questions till far? Anyone with any questions? Due to paucity of time, I will be running fast because already it's time up and we had wasted a lot of time. So within few minutes, I will be winding up because the time which was given to me is going to be ended. So suddenly, very firmly coming to the next topic, that is the Supreme Court responses. Now, in India, we have certain cases. I have not taken up all the cases, but selected ones. So amongst that, the first one which I've taken is the Shailesh Singh versus State of UP. Now, in this particular matter, the issue was considering the management of the e-waste inconsistent with the e-waste management rules 2016. Now, there was a complaint which was brought against the burning and selling of e-waste and the unscientific disposal of e-waste in the violation of the rules. Now, as I told you, e-waste, which is dealt in two manners. Once it is dumped in the dumping yard, that is a dumping zones at the places, whether it's in Selampur, it's in Bangalore, in Chennai, in all the places, either it is handled and also the dismantling of the products is done by either in a formal manner and either in an informal manner. Majority of the times it is seen that it is mostly the informal manner. And when it becomes an informal manner, the discarding of the remnants of these e-waste after taking the useful items, it is again burnt along with some chemicals, along with some kerosene or fuels, which throws again a very smoky or a poisonous air, again polluting the air. Either it is dumped in the soil where big dits are there and it is dumped, either it is taken and washed into the waters. So most of the chemicals which are emitted from all this is either lead, it is cadmium, and so on. So when this is inhaled by majority of the people, it leads to the brain stroke, it leads to brain damage, leading to skin diseases, leading to heart strokes and bone diseases, so on. So as a result, because of the heavy content of lead and other heavy metals, it was found in this particular area that the land which was found filled with the e-waste was totally unscientifically maintained for the disposal of the e-waste. Unscientifically maintained means it was not properly taken care of, which had to be taken care. So the State Control Board and the Central Pollution Control Board came together, the Supreme Court audit, and came together for the action plan towards it. It is one of the examples, it is one of the concerns that we are speaking about. But there are various different concerns regarding various different places. So it is always a state responsibility, as we have already dealt in Constitution. State itself has a responsibility, along with the center, as in Schedule 1, concentrating upon that. They started working towards the action plans, laid down certain agendas, they identified the various challenges and worked towards the disposal of this particular issue. The other case which I've taken is Mahindra Pandey versus Union of India and others. Now, again, this case is speaking about 5,000 illegal e-waste units. Just imagine it's 5,000 illegal e-waste units being run in the capital. And herein, concerning the same, areas may matter, people may matter, but the thing is, the contamination of the groundwater is here, we can see, and the soil acidification. The soil over there was totally acidified. Why? Because of the constant e-waste. So as I told you, once the e-waste is dumped, either it stays there for a long time, and in connection with air and water, it is corroded. And because of the corrosion activities, it is then either the corroded chemicals, they get into the soil and create a different form of acidification. And also the groundwater. Once the waste or the product is not good for using, it is thrown or dumped into the water. Again, the contamination of the groundwater and the solid acidification, the soil acidification. And due to this, the residents, those who were consuming the water, were not getting the pure form of water. Why this? Because the soil has already turned acid. It is unconsumable by any of us. So, as a result, this question was before the Supreme Court, that what to do with this 5,000 illegal e-waste units. Why it is termed as 5,000 illegal e-waste units? Because the dismantling of various products was not handled in a proper manner or according to the procedure or in a formal sector. So that is why the illegal e-waste. So further down, the E-Waste Management Rules 2016 has been framed under the Environment Protection Act and also tells that it has to be applicable to the manufacturer who is concerned with it. Now, as I was speaking about the international concerns, so international responses, the US Supreme Court, speaking about in one of the judgments of Impression Products versus Lexmark International, which said that it is very much important for the third party or the consumer right to repair or refurbish electronic products, which could serve to reduce the volume of e-waste being generated. As I told you in the former ones, it is not always necessary to take out the product wholly. It is somewhere in the atmosphere. It is somewhere present in the earth. And if we dispose it either in a form which can be reduced, you can make a best out of waste out of that, or you can even reuse it, or you can make a different product out of it if it is possible. So according to the Supreme Court, which said that this is one of the landmark opinion, that the courts, the federal courts, which is approaching this particular matter, should order to reduce the volume of the e-waste which is being generated and exported. So herein we can see, however, is the differences of the Supreme Court opinion may pose problems for application of this case to international conspect and transboundary movements. Now there are two case studies which is with respect to Ghana and the others. So two case studies I've taken. So this is one of the matters which I've taken, and it is talking about Ghana. So it is Eklobashi district in Accra, which is telling that um, the person who has visited there, the author, he saw that it has been a very big yard of e-waste recycling, and it was totally of informal management. So he noticed that it was totally contaminated by toxic lead, affecting more than 40,000 people, including children. Now that was one of the case studies by him, and in the second case studies, speaking about the employment of the prisoners. Now, as in the former SDGs, I was speaking about employment, but herein it is speaking about the prisoners in e-waste management facilities, and which is representing and telling you that the prisoners were taken as laborers and they were asked to manage the e-waste. Now, there was a concern which was drawn because as the prisoners, they were affected by the various diseases. A, a humanitarian eye required to be drawn to them, and also the concern relating to the environmental justice. So in November 2022, the US federal judge ruled that Unicor, that is a federal prison industries, must pay nearly $995,000 in fines regarding the careless abandonment of 14 million pounds of e-waste in violation of the regulatory policies against dumping. So herein we can see how the different cases and the different responses by the Supreme Court and the other international responses, how the e-waste has to be managed and how it draws a concern toward the environmental issues. So with this, I wind up with my uh, presentation. Hope so you liked it. Any queries?
Um,
Hello.
yes, there are a few queries in the chat box now.
Okay, ma'am.
Like how the government is taking the initiatives to manage these e-waste nowadays.
Yeah, that is the same thing which I told you. See, there are two responsibilities. One is on the state and one is on the center. So according to Schedule 1 of the Indian Constitution, it is always seen that it is the responsibility of the state first to look into the matters. So state has to come up first because center cannot run everywhere. So it is majorly the concern of the various districts, and therein the state has to come in the fore picture. So
Like
state,
how the government is taking the initiatives to reduce these e-wastages. In what sense, in what ways the government has
yeah,
taken
as I told you,
initiatives?
it has various regulatory framework. In the former slides, I have shown you the 2016 framework, and it is also coming with a new framework, that is the framework of 2022, which will be implemented from 1st April 2023. So again, that is one of the regulations by which the state will be and the center will be looking upon the various issues concerned to, according to the e-waste management. Any
Thank
other
you so
query?
much.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you so much for the wonderful session. And as you said, it's a very big problem
Yes.
that every day 1 ton e-waste we are generating, which is a very hazardous for our health, which is just because of unscientific disposal management. That is, you said a very good information, like 30% lead and 70% heavy metals, which causes our health, that is brainstorm, heart diseases, skin diseases, which we are facing a lot. So it is very a crucial topic which the government should look up upon it so that we can control the e-wastes both in communication and information technology as well as of the electronics and consumer products, as you said. So both the things we have to look up after it, that we at our end how we can dispose of, like our in our country also, Delhi, as you have in Selimpur also, this occurs a lot. in the entire Asian continent, in China and Africa. So we are facing a lot of problems. Because of that, it may affect our health. So at our end, we take the initiatives that as much as possible, we can reduce these waste from our side. Thank you so much, ma'am, for your wonderful session and giving us
Thank
the
you.
key
Thank you very much,
information.
ma'am. Thank you very much. Thank you, Sunil sir, for inviting me for the session. And it was highly obligated from him because it was such a topic which was, suddenly come to me and I had to prepare a lot. But it was a good experience. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Students, do fill the feedback form. Once you fill the feedback form, you will receive the certificate after 5 to 6 working days on your registered email ID.
Yes.
Thank you,
Ma'am,
ma'am.
kindly send the screenshots.
Sure.
Thank you.
you.
Thank you, ma'am.